Welcome back to Nickels and Dimes, the #1 podcast in combat sports. Today, I'm super pumped about our guest. We have Cayden Henschel on the show. Cayden has grown a massive YouTube following, over 400,000 subscribers. He's also a beast of a wrestler. We're going to dive into how he got into wrestling, how he got into content, and some different things that have helped make him successful in both of those areas. So thanks for tuning in, and let's get into it. I was following you and saw your recent Instagram, and I know that this last tournament you wrestled in didn't quite go as well as you'd have liked it to. You want to talk us through that a little bit?
Yeah, that it's so kind of fresh. It's still like
Right.
almost like still going through like grief with it all, because it literally was like I didn't know that would be it. Like this was such a great year of competition for me, and this was basically going to be me going out there and doing what I can, and I really thought national title was in the cards, and everything was working until it wasn't. And then basically just lost 2 big matches at regionals, and, failed to qualify basically. And, it's like 17 years of wrestling. It's like, it can just be over like that, especially with college, past 5 years, and it happens quick, but the sun came up. So.
Yeah, for sure. Reading your post, I thought there was a lot of good insight and just like maturity there, because that's a super tough situation, especially because you're very much in the spotlight and you have a big platform. So, for you, what do you feel like? I know it's super fresh, but do you feel like there's already lessons that you're learning, given the situation?
Yeah, 100%. A big thing on me personally was just, I would say that like life other than wrestling in your sport. Like I've known recently that it's like, thinking that you're only an athlete for a couple hours, you show up to practice or whatever. But I think if you want to compete on a high level, like it has to be in so much aspects of your life, right? Like what you're eating, how you're waking up, and, just not even thinking about the training regimen, but what you're spending your time doing and also not doing. And now that it's like, passing, that it's like, well, now that I'm not necessarily, a college athlete anymore through competition, it's like, I still enjoy life, not competing in the sport. And I think like being with my family and especially like my fiance, and really sitting down and thinking of being like, I was pursuing, a goal I set for myself for so long. And I knew that maybe it wasn't gonna 100% satisfy me, because like, accomplishing maybe something crazy, it comes and goes, right? It just collects dust. But now that it's done and over with, and just regardless of how it happened, I think I can come to terms with being like, you know what? I have to see this as this is the greatest thing to ever happen to me, regardless. A similar situation happened in high school where I was ranked #1 in state and I didn't make it to state. So it's like, like just crazy how that works. But now given that comes around again, it's like, you just got to keep putting one foot after the other. And if I truly can make a bigger impact from like losing from the situation, then let's say if I would have won nationals, and it's like, that's life, right? You don't win all the time. Sometimes you just have to get up and keep going. So I think that's where I'm standing right now.
Yeah, the amount of love on your post was crazy. Like the feedback from everybody, like it just, obviously right now it's super fresh, so it's tough to see, but just to see a glimpse of like what God could be using this, trial and setback for to inspire and lead so many people, that can be some sort of hopefully solace for you during this, obviously tough time.
Yeah, the support has been crazy, especially like on that post. And, I waited, 3 or 4 days to make something, because I needed to completely step away. And that's one thing I did, that I just like, I didn't even open my phone. I was getting, hit up with messages from, all sorts of people. And I had to just turn off my mind and everything. And I'm grateful I kind of took the time away to just really kind of sit on it, and not having that to think about, or knowing that people know, I would say. But I am very humbled at being like the amount of people and just so many relationships I built through the years that it's like, it's very, very humbling that they, still support, and it does truly mean the world to me. So I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah. Well, it just shows that you are so much bigger than your sport and what you do. And you're making an impact on people that is going to last like, well beyond just competition years. And so I guess you probably, maybe don't even know this answer, but do you have a plan? Like what's next for you? Do you want to continue to compete? Are you retiring, or what's the move?
Yeah, this is really interesting. That's kind of always been a huge topic of conversation with this last year, but like I want to do content, right? Like, of course, regardless of what I do, that's really what I love. I love to do it. Competition wise, I don't know what the future for wrestling holds. I think like always there's that opportunity of whether, celebrity matches comes up or if Muggsy wants part 2. Other than that, I would love to kind of start like a road to jujitsu something. I've never really did that, but I do think that there's a, possibility and a new venture and almost a new market to reach. So I think that would be really fun to go into and kind of see where that leads to. So
yeah, that makes perfect sense. I mean, you see a lot of people like transitioning into jujitsu post college as just something to do that's not, wrestling. You still, I'm sure, have that competitive drive and that itch to like scrap. And so I feel like that makes sense. And it'll be even cooler because you'll literally get to document and get content of the whole process. Start off as a white belt, right? And move up through the ranks.
Yeah, no, that is that's a great point. And I can't wait to just see, I guess, how I progress and just the new people I get to meet and maybe the new techniques. Cause in wrestling, it's like, once you get to a point, you're just putting yourself in situations, but I basically know nothing about jujitsu. So I'd be very curious to see, kind of the first steps that way. But regardless, I think beach wrestling too, that might also be another cool opportunity, especially because I think content wise, that's very, I'd say very neutral of a thing that anyone can just say, oh, here's a beach and these two guys, whoever gets just, a few takedowns. It's very simple. So I think that can hit that way, but I think that'd be super fun.
Yeah, definitely. It seems like there's a lot of opportunities for you and a lot of different paths you can take, but whatever it is, I'm sure it'll go well, and you'll be able to, like you said, make a lot of cool new relationships, meet a lot of cool people, and have a big impact. I want to, kind of start diving into what got you into wrestling specifically. Like, how old were you when you started? You said you've been wrestling 17 years, and what initially like attracted you to the sport?
Yeah, I first started in first grade, and my dad and grandpa wrestled, and we were in the middle of like a move, in the middle of a house move. I had two brothers at the time. One was older, one was younger, and we basically all kind of got put in at the same time. I remember sitting in kind of like the guest room during our house move, and we're kind of all sitting in there together, and my dad's on this website looking around a local club, and it happened to be the West Bend Wildcats. And basically I just remember them talking about it, me sitting on the bed and being like, okay, let's kind of see what this is. And I just remember throwing on my shoes and running around and getting yelled at in the first 10 seconds for horsing around in the wrestling room. But that's kind of how I got it started. And I just wanted to be like my dad and grandpa. That was pretty big for me.
Dang, that's sweet. That's cool. Yeah. I actually share a super similar experience. My grandpa wrestled, my dad did too. So it was the same type of thing, just got into it because of them. What initially, like when you were first starting off, was there something that grabbed you? Like, did you really enjoy it right away?
Let's see. Yes, I did, but I wasn't very good. I'm sure like a lot of kids when they first start off. I think the fact that it wasn't like soccer, or, t-ball where, you have this team and you can rely necessarily on other people. I think the fact that it really was like up to you, like you were the only one out there to compete, that made it just an instant click in my mind to be like, this is super fun. I get to control every aspect of this. I think that's kind of what hooked me and, got me sticking around for sure.
Yeah. What was your high school career like? Take us through that journey.
Yeah, my high school career was pretty good. I never won a youth state title. The best I got was like third at state, but I was in that mix of like, I just figured out what freestyle and Greco was, like literally in, was that like seventh to eighth grade. And that's when I started to make jumps in my wrestling, where I started to wrestle out of state and do those, the summer wrestling tournaments. And I knew that pinnacle for me at that time was to win a high school state title. I never really, let's say, didn't even go to like the Super 32s or the postseason nationals of the world. I don't know. I don't think I was necessarily in the club center where it just wasn't popular at the time, especially like around me, which now it definitely is. But I was very good, I would say, especially in Wisconsin. I ended with it was like 181-13. Wow. But so with definitely a lot of matches, and it was one of those things where when I lost even my freshman year, I was like just so upset, even though like I knew that losses were going to come. I don't know why, but even in like high school, those early years, they were super big and impactful on me for some reason. Like I felt like no one should be able to beat me, even though I knew that these guys were way better than me. So I think that's like a interesting thing to start me off and kind of just keep progressing, I think.
Where do you think that competitiveness came from? Did you always have that even as like a young kid, or was that something that like, was there a moment that kind of ignited it?
There's definitely moments that ignited it. I would say, so my eighth grade year, this was when I knew I needed to win like a state title. This was the first time I really took like a mentality approach to it and like visualization approach. Like this is where like I had my dad print off, a picture with the state title, and I had it hanging on my door above my, above on the ceiling when I go to bed, so I can read it. It'll say, say Cayden Henschel, first West Bend Wildcat state champ. Like, and I just really like believed it, and it almost like it like consumed me to be like, man, like I wake up, okay, I got something to work towards. And then when I failed to accomplish that, I was in distraught. And then ever since then, I ended up getting third that year. So I'm proud of myself. I kind of finished on the backside there, but ever kind of since then, that moment, that was the hardest I've took a loss. And then I just decided, I'm like, I just really want to get good, and I don't want to lose anymore. I think since that moment in eighth grade, for sure.
Gotcha. Did you, was it kind of a similar timeline for you, or maybe a little bit later, that you decided like, hey, I want to potentially like pursue this after high school, like, wrestling college?
Yeah. So that's very interesting too, because I did not even want to go to college through my junior year of high school.
Wow.
I was like super involved in like trying to like start a business. And so I had all these like entrepreneurial ventures. Like I tried to do like Amazon FBA, selling like just whatever. Everything's falling through. Nothing's working. I'm getting scammed on Bitcoin stuff early on. And like, it was just hitting failure after failure. And I was just like, what is going on? I gotta find a win here. But then, YouTube started to kick on, and especially like with the wrestling videos. And I'm like, maybe if I continue and go to college too, I can progress this, through my channel and, figure out how to do it that way. Cause I did love making videos and editing. Everything was very attractive to me that way. And I loved watching YouTubers. I thought they had like the coolest job ever. And if I could make that a job, that'd be mind blowing. So after my junior year, I had a conversation with one of my coaches at the time, Max Askren, so Ben's brother. And he basically said, he's like, you should really like think about wrestling in college. Like, it's like, I highly suggest it. I really think you'd be, good at it. And that really sat me down, and I really thought about it. I'm like, I think I really should. And the thing that caught my attention too with that was, he said, I know your goal is to be a high school state champion, because I wasn't at the time. And he said, but if you are training to be, a college wrestling national champion, if you're training to do that right now as a junior in high school, don't you think that state title will just match up through your progression? And that made just complete sense in my mind. And I'm like, yeah, if I'm training to beat, the guys even on the next level, of course that state title is going to come. So I switched kind of my goal to, basically being the best in college when I was, in high school, clearly different levels, but I think it still helped me out. And that's what was a big reason that helped me accomplish that in high school.
When did you start posting on YouTube? Like, when was your first video that was like, all right, I'm actually going to like try edit, like make this video like a real thing rather than just, messing around?
Yeah, it was sophomore year of high school. So, and this was on my channel before I have it now because it like got deleted. I had my whole sophomore year of wrestling, like 90 videos of like duels, tournaments, and just random stuff. It's just completely gone. I don't even have those videos anymore. Don't know how it happened. I didn't delete it. YouTube just terminated it. So I hope there's a way down the line I can somehow get those videos back. Because at first, because I didn't do it to have a job or do whatever. I just did it because I thought these would be just insane moments and memories to look back on, when I'm older. And it kind of sucks that those are taken away, but yeah, it was pretty early on.
And then when did you, so you kind of wanted to start the YouTube thing to just like keep some memories and stuff, but what gave you the drive to like pursue that and do that at a high level as well?
Yeah, I had like the biggest fear of working a job I hated. And so that sophomore year of high school, I worked a masonry job and, doing cement and, working $10 an hour. And it was just like, dude, I am not going to, I just hate working for someone else. I hated that idea. And I'm like, you know what? You can actually make a career out of this. It's going to be, it's still going to be hard, but I loved it. I loved the challenge. And just, again, it's like in wrestling, you can control it. You can control the effort you put in, the work you put in, and nothing is necessarily guaranteed, views wise, but I just wanted to create something that has not been created before. And I just wanted to be like, literally, I wanted to be the biggest fan of myself, if that makes any sense. I just wanted to make videos that I personally would be a fan of watching. And, I think for, a long time, after grinding it out, it is what it is today.
You said something about when you decided to wrestle in college. Like, it sounded like the content and the wrestling like went hand in hand in that decision. Is that true?
Yeah, 100%. And that's why like a lot of people even say like, dude, put down the social media and the content and just focus on wrestling so you can be, a better wrestler. And I'm just like, the content is something that I absolutely love. And personally, it definitely has made me a better wrestler because if I do better at wrestling, it's going to make better videos. Same thing. Like it's like goes hand in hand. And it also allowed me to take a more, I guess, analytical approach and notice my wrestling. Like, okay, what am I actually doing? Like I would record my practices. I have, hours upon hours of footage in the practice room, just not posted, that I just log onto my computer after practice and I just, play it through while I'm eating dinner. I'm being like, man, like this is working. Why wasn't this working? And it allows me to really just understand wrestling at a better level. And that's just something that kind of keeps me going through that.
When were you able to turn on? So when you went to college, NIL wasn't a thing yet, correct?
Right. Yes. And and I've had opportunities even like in high school that I would talk to my dad about, and he's like, just do not, because he thought it was like, if I took something, I wouldn't be able to do college wrestling at all. And I'm not sure if that would be actually true. I probably would have been, who knows, but yeah, I couldn't do anything from high school when I had those offers, let's say up until a couple of years.
That's so crazy. So you weren't even able to like turn on Google AdSense for your YouTube channel.
Right. Yes. Yes.
Honestly, that makes it even cooler though, because it's like you're really just doing it for the love of it at that point. And it's so cool to mash up two things, like the content and the wrestling, that and it seems like in your life, like they just kind of go hand in hand. It's like they're very synergistic. They work off each other, and that just seems like, I don't know. I love the passion and the drive behind it. It seems very pure.
100%. I appreciate you saying that. And, I even would relay this with like Sam Sulek recently. Like I heard on a podcast, he was saying, well, he'd be lifting regardless. He'd be driving to the gym regardless. So why not have it filmed? And I think it's like basically I would be doing everything I'm doing. It just wouldn't be recorded if I wasn't recording. So that's the only thing that really changes for me. But I think it's a little different when I do things in the summer. I think that makes it a little different with competition wise. But regardless, I think the synergy, as you said, it just makes perfect sense.
Yeah. Who would you say you look up to, whether that's wrestlers or content creators? Who are some people that maybe you try to emulate or that you like what they're doing?
Let's see. I mean, like YouTubers, I love so a lot of fitness guys. So I would like Jesse James West. He's one guy that's killing it. Especially because like him, and I would say Sam Sulek too, because they both take very similar but different approaches to not only creating content but what they do. So like Sam Sulek, he's like a bodybuilder. He literally tries to be like the best bodybuilder, right? That's his whole thing. But then Jesse James West, he's got all these crazy ideas of bringing things together, and I think that's something more that I want to make content just more fun, more kind of Mr. Beastie, I would say. That's more content creatory. But I will say too, I do take a lot of inspiration from other YouTubers who were in college, that did a college sport, but then they started making content about something entirely different. So like Ryan Trahan, if you guys know him, he was a college runner and he was making running content up until the NIL stuff kicked off, and he had to make a decision to continue to do YouTube, or he would basically have to just delete YouTube and everything and he can continue running. And he basically just dropped out of school. And next thing you know, he's traveling across the America with a penny. And, he's like 20 million subscribers and he's absolutely killing it. He's doing what he loves. So I take a lot of inspiration in that.
That's so cool because I never thought that there would be a world where that would combine, especially so you're what, 24, 25?
23.
23. Like when I was in high school, I never thought that there would be a day where we would actually get to see inside what a college athlete's life was like, because it wasn't possible because they would get brand deals and all that. And it's really interesting to see now in today's like NCAA circuit, that's very popularized now.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. And I think more people should do it too. Like there's literally nothing to lose and everything to gain. So
yeah, what do you think why don't you think more college wrestlers do content or post on social media? Do you think has to do with the culture?
Culture is a big thing. Probably probably maybe like the embarrassment factor, but I would even say a bigger factor was it takes so much time. Like if you want to be like elite of the elite and just like locked in, like there's no time to be, editing your content and thinking about like maybe all these like different things. Like it's a lot of work. I mean, like you guys know, like running content, I mean, like you need a team behind you and you got to be sacrificing different things for that. It's just it's something else that you basically have to train for too. So
what for you are some keys to managing your time, and how do you set it up?
So thankfully, like for me in season, I'm really I would say fortunate that I can manage creating like one big video a week, which is basically like a duel or a tournament. And I've done this so long now that the edits that would have taken me 8 hours to do, I can basically do in, 2 hours, because it feels so repetitive to me. I know exactly what to do. And I think other than that, I almost think you just have to master editing and know exactly what you need to do to manage. So I would edit my whole long form video, maybe takes 2.5 hours. Then I would think about, all right, I got to make a reel for this now. And so it's basically like a checklist. That's kind of what I have every week. Okay, I have this vlog for this duel. I need to make, 3 clips maybe from it that just makes sense. And as soon as I just get it done, I just, space it out across the week, and then I don't have to worry about it. But I get everything done pretty early in the week. So it's away from competition time, because everything's not real time when I post it. It's, kind of farther in advance, but that's kind of how I do it.
You do everything? You don't have team or editors or?
Nope, I basically do everything.
Bro, I have like 2 editors that I post like once a day.
Dude, I'm telling you, it's a lot of work.
It's so much work.
And I've done this for maybe I think 7 going on 8 years, and it's literally like riding a bike. The more you do it, the more you know what it takes. But again, it's like it takes a lot of time regardless. I do think delegating will be a bigger factor, especially in the next upcoming years of what I plan to do. But that's a whole nother challenge too. Like, I don't know how to hire guys and to especially like manage people and doing all that thing. It's tough.
Dude, it's one of the hardest things that I've had to try and do, because we're starting to get to a point where it's like, all right, I need to be able to delegate tasks. And it's like a whole different animal, because there's a difference between being a creative and content creator and then a businessman. And you're like, how on earth do you merge these two together? And obviously there's other creators that have done it and have been super successful. But a lot of these guys, top guys, besides some of like the bigger channels like Mr. Beast, like I think Ryan Trahan maybe has 4 employees, which is crazy. And he has insane videos. Oh yeah.
That really puts things in perspective too. Like, especially like, Ryan, he's like the I think Mr. Beast calls him like the budget Mr. Beast, right? And it's crazy how some of those different people operate their businesses. And I don't think there's necessarily a wrong way. It just, you got to be profitable. I think that's a big thing with delegating. I don't know. It's just, I don't even know what I'd be getting myself into at that point.
Let's dive into this a little more. So you have obviously a very entrepreneurial spirit. You mentioned kind of taking on some challenges and in high school, and what kind of got you into that? You mentioned you worked a masonry job, didn't want to work for somebody else. Was there anything else that motivated you to kind of like be interested in business?
Yeah, I mean, so I also worked in like excuse me. I worked in like other landscaping too. And let's say when I was like pulling weeds, I would be like always listening to like a podcast, or it would be like literally like a book, like an audiobook. And then I got like hooked onto like self-help, like audiobooks and other like CEO interviews. And I just remember listening to their advice, and just, I think, it's just like who you spend the time around the most. You basically are like the average of the top 5 people. And I spent so much time with, successful individuals, like through my ears of listening to what they would do as if they were younger, how they managed to progress. And something about that, I was like, I hate doing what I'm doing right now. And I want to be able to kind of do my own thing. And I think just over time, learning from my failures of whatever business it was, if I was, lawn mowing, or, if I was, trying to do like the Amazon thing, or I'm trying to like do these get rich quick investment things. And, I figured out that I wanted to do YouTube, and I just started watching the YouTubers who would share, YouTube advice and, try to copy what they're doing. So I think it was just like a lot of learning from higher individuals that I kind of looked up to.
How long was it before you started getting some real like traction with the content?
Yeah. So I would say my senior year of high school, I had just about 60,000 subscribers at the time on YouTube, which, excuse me, it wasn't like anything crazy to what it is now, but at the time it was like pretty big. And
that's more than we have. Yeah. So
yeah, sorry, but
it was like 60K. It was like just trash.
I could imagine if I had 60K right now. Like that would suck.
I'm sorry. Give me a second.
Yeah, bro.
I didn't know if you were gonna be able to keep it cool when he mentioned all your top favorite YouTubers.
I mean, we get it. We get
it. But I would say after that, so that was like my state series that I released. And I remember premiering, because, you can have the premiere option on YouTube, and you can basically watch it like live with people. And I remember inviting some of my teammates over to watch this video, because this was like the finale. This is when I won state. I was so excited. Everything was coming together. And before the video started, we had 1,300 people premiering for the YouTube. And I'm like,
wow,
wait, there's 1,300. Like, I'm sitting here with 7 people in a room and I'm like, this is insane.
That's crazy.
And I'm sitting there and I'm like, I'm seeing like the number go up. It's like 100, 200, 800, 1,300 people. I'm like, what is going on? Like, there's over 1,000 people live that are curious or like, fans of, they basically watch my whole journey, for throughout the past couple of years in high school. And I just felt so, blessed. I'm just getting like chills just thinking about how crazy that was. And, maybe to be a source of inspiration or motivation in their careers. And that was a moment that I'm like, man, this is like, I think I'm onto something right now. So
yeah, that's awesome. So that seemed like kind of like the kickoff, but what other big moments like from there to now do you feel like stand out in your mind?
Man, I mean, I would say when I knew from early on that I wanted to do content and it had to work out. I don't really give myself another option. I kind of, not that I burnt the bridge, but I know regardless that I was going to find a way to make it work, whether that be in wrestling or whether that be in something else down the road. I think when I reached out to Spencer Lee to do a collab, this was my first ever like time reaching out, to anyone. And I reached out to him initially and just, kind of no interest, but he did respond. So I was like he responded. I think that's still a win. Couple months later.
So he responded and said no?
Yes.
That's crazy.
That is.
But he did reply. So that's
he did reply. That was very rare. I don't know what my numbers were at this time. This was like the summer before I went to college.
Okay.
And it was like 60K subscribers. Yeah, right.
Who are you? Like I asked to film like a workout video with him because I think this is when he had like a clip go viral of him doing like 1-arm pull-ups or something like that. So, couple months later, he reaches back out. Wow. I believe. I'm not 100% because this was like 5-6 years ago.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, like we got to make it work. So like, I think it was literally the next day I'm getting ready to go and drive, 4 or 5 hours down to Iowa, to a place I've never been to film a video, which I don't think I'm prepared for, but I just, kind of work my way in. And, my buddy Crosby, who was my teammate throughout high school and, my roommate here, teammate of course, like for my whole life, basically, he was sick, so he couldn't film.
Oh,
I'm like, okay, what? Like, I don't have anyone to film. I end up calling my younger brother's friend to come film. I don't think he's ever held a camera in his life, but we figured it out. So like there were so many things going against this process, but we get to Spencer, to his house, and it was just such an amazing experience to really like not only just because it's Spencer Lee, but to really collab with someone that maybe kind of like sees your vision that you necessarily don't even 100% see yourself. And, throughout that, next day, week, we got the content, and now that video is one of my most viewed videos. And people still today would bring up that video and how cool that was. And I haven't necessarily done anything that I would say like creative in a way that I would like to, because I've been focused so much on competition. But that video is like over 500,000 views. I've had like 5 clips from that video get over 1 million views on different platforms, and
wow.
It was so like crazy that like I'm just like a kid right out of high school that just randomly had this idea, and Spencer agreed to it, and next thing you know, it's actually making an impact.
Wow, that's crazy that one piece of content did that. Is that your most viewed video ever? Or did you say that?
No. So it's not the most viewed long form video is like me teaching pins with Crosby in like short shorts, like just weird, just showing top 5 pins. But a lot of people on YouTube. So this is one of the tips at the time. It was like SEO on YouTube, right? And everybody would look up like top wrestling moves, top 5 wrestling moves. And so that series is like my most popular series I did early on in high school. And, those get views over time because those are kind of evergreen videos.
Got it. That's interesting.
This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. Let's talk numbers for a second. Traditional in-person therapy can run anywhere from $100 to $250 a session. That adds up fast. But with BetterHelp Online Therapy, you can save up to 50% per session, and it's all from the comfort of your home. You pay a flat fee for weekly sessions, so you're saving time and money. The best part, therapy actually feels accessible. It's not just some luxury reserved for people with tons of extra cash. It's support that helps with everything from major anxiety to everyday stress. For me, with fighting and competing, it's very stressful, the same way daily life can be very stressful. And so, I train my body every day, and I think to neglect the mental side of that would be a disservice. And I know I'm not going to compete my best if I don't take care of my mind, body, and spirit. All three very important. And I think that everybody, who wants to do their best should look into some type of therapy to just, be the best version of themselves. BetterHelp is super convenient. Finding time to drive to a therapist's office and go through the process of it and then drive back, sometimes that can be a hassle. But you can join a session with just the click of a button. So you're able to fit therapy into your daily life with relative ease. Plus, you can switch therapists at any time. So if you're not vibing with somebody, you are able to figure out what works best for you. Your well-being is worth it. Visit betterhelp.com/Bo to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Bo. Now back to the show.
So we've both been on your pod. Is that coming back? Like how did that develop? Tell us about that.
Yes, that is for sure coming back.
Nice.
But
Nice.
it was just tough this past summer because it wasn't like raking in, like it wasn't like a profitable business. It was like just a failing business because we put so much time and money into that. And it was like, I got now, Crosby doesn't have his channel as, I have mine to kind of support myself and my ventures. But, it comes to a point where it's like life comes at you and, now you got school to pay for, you have rent to pay for, you have all these things. And, he was just like, it was just like a mutual agreement that's like, we can't really do this right now. And especially because the wrestling season, we ran for like, 52, like it was a whole year straight. That was very, I would say like legendary looking back on, but it took so much time and energy and effort. And I think there's ways that we can make it work. But I think doing everything in person made it very, very difficult. Yeah. But that's one thing that made it different and one thing that made it, I think, better in some circumstances. But I just think we really needed to sit down and be strategical about it. And, now we kind of have more time because I was going to bring that up after season and not worry about doing, running a whole nother channel and stuff in season. But, that's something that I definitely think can play a big role here down the line. And, regardless, in person or not, there's ways that can grow.
Yeah, you guys should definitely bring that back.
That podcast was electric.
Great vibe.
Yeah,
great question.
Awesome. We appreciate that.
Yeah.
What's but podcast is coming back. What else are the plans for the near future with the content stuff? Do you have any ideas, or are you still kind of trying to get some stuff in the works?
Yeah, I definitely have some things going on that maybe I can't say right now, but excuse me, like some series I want to continue. I want to definitely show more like, I guess, tutorials, like those top 5 things. I think that's always this evergreen series. My WrestleWorks series where I would bring in a wrestler, like a high school or youth wrestler, and basically go through like a private lesson. I think those are really fun videos that I think that can benefit not only just that wrestler at the time, but like everyone who watches it. And I think with being able to work with brands and, having my own stuff that's going on, it's like, I want to really provide more aspects of not only making it more entertaining, but more beneficial. And do you guys know The Financial Audit, Caleb Hammer, the show on YouTube? It's like a finance show. So basically what he does, he brings in random people and he just roasts their finances because everyone's like $300,000 in debt and they don't even know what's going on. They don't love their partner. Everything's like going crazy, and he just roasts them, but then he helps them at the end, and everything's all good. So I kind of want to have take some things from that show and use that in my own to progress. So I love that. I think it's just a lot of adding in from like what I like to watch and incorporating that within in the videos. So
Yeah, that absolutely needs to be a series where you just like some kid brings on their film and you just roast the hell out of them. And then you're like, all right, but now here's what you need to do.
yes,
do that with fighting.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah,
With who?
Yeah,
with fighting, like grab some college kid who like, you know how to fight? He's like, yeah. Then you bring him in the gym.
Have you seen
Yes.
have you seen there's a girl on I think she's just on Instagram, but she does short videos and she'll go up to like a random dude on the beach and be like, do you know how to fight? And he'll be like, yeah, I know how to fight. And she's like, well, what makes you think you know how to fight? And she's like, have you ever trained? Like, do you do anything? And some people be like, yeah, I boxed this or that, or I did wrestling, or or no, I've never trained. And meanwhile, she's like 7-time Taekwondo world champion, and they have no idea. And she's very unassuming. And so then she'll be like, all right, here's the thing. We're going to give you 30 seconds. Show me what you do if you got in a fight, like shadow box, shadow whatever. And it's the funniest thing, bro, because it just like the most confident guys literally like it's so bad. It's just
terrible.
It's the worst. But you could do that with wrestling pretty easily.
I gotta see that, but
Check it out.
100%. Yeah. I think that's a thing I gotta kind of have to morph into is I think a little more animated if I would do that, because the last thing I do is want to be like mean to a kid and actually have them like despise me for that.
Yeah. Some poor kid he's like trying to figure out like, is this first year wrestling? What makes you think you're good at wrestling?
I think there's a happy medium, and I think beforehand I gotta say like we're gonna play some jokes, so just don't take a lot of things to heart, let's say. But
yeah, for sure,
that's funny. That's good stuff.
Yeah, we were talking before the show. Like one kid that we think's doing a cool, some good stuff is Giorgio.
Yep.
I don't know how to say his last name. Polis.
Yep.
Yeah.
Take me down, win $1,000. But
do you think you could take him down, Bo?
I think there's a good chance. I mean, he's pretty good. He's pretty freaking good. Like we're going to hopefully have him on the pod at some point, because all I've seen is his videos, and I haven't really done any research on him, but I'm like watching him wrestle and watching him move around, and then he'll actually have some real wrestlers on, and I'm like, this guy's good. Like this guy could wrestle in college, like for sure.
Yeah.
He's like definitely good enough to compete, post high school. So I want to know his story, because I mean, I feel like he's too good to be like not actually wrestling.
So he did wrestle in college a couple years, if I'm not mistaken.
Did he? Oh, that makes more sense then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, at the school that just kind of got cut in Ohio.
Cleveland State.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
gotcha.
I think he was there for a couple of years.
That makes way more sense. So I was thinking that he was like 20.
No, he's pretty old.
He's older. So
older than me. But.
Yeah. So he's older than you. Okay. So that makes more sense. But yeah, he's good.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like I have can I?
I mean, everyone thinks they can. It's the start of the video.
I saw him backflip out of a single leg, so I don't know. I was thinking about it, and I was like, if I do this, I'm going hard. Like I'm going 100%. I'm not like messing around in there. So we'll see.
For him too, like when he actually has his money on the line, because apparently he hasn't been taking him down. Like if you get yourself into a scary situation where you could be taken down, like I've seen him, do that illegal leg kick that could blow a guy's knee out, this random guy forever. Like I'm surprised that no one has tried to sue him or anything bad has happened, because these are some pretty interesting things. But those videos are great.
He collabed with Suriano the other day.
I saw that. He did.
I need to see the rest of the content.
I know. What was going on there?
No one really knows what happened.
What happened there? That's like got to be the most interesting, raw content there is right now.
I'd love to be a fly on the wall for what happened.
Yeah, for sure.
So, all right, go ahead.
Yeah, you got it.
I got a selfish question. I'm going to sneak in.
Sure.
So I'm 62 days. I'm very proud of this. 62 days in, posting every day on Instagram and TikTok.
Wow.
Thank you. And you know how many times I post the previous year?
60. No, probably 20.
10?
Probably less than 20.
Yeah, less than 20. I'd say like maybe one a month.
Yeah. So it's the same thought process you mentioned of like, I'm making calls every day for like 5 hours a day. So I might as well record it. But what's your advice for me or like someone on the beginning of that journey? And like, I like what you focus on is I never really thought about that, of posting videos that I want to watch. I guess I kind of did, but what do you think about, or what would you recommend for somebody starting out their content journey?
I would say like find if something ends up popping off for you, like kind of double down on what was it. Like, was it a different, edit you had, or, was it a different emotional stance? Like, maybe like an absurd ask, or, maybe a high emotional state. But I mean, other people that are in your same position that make similar content, just figure out what they're doing. That's something like in wrestling that I didn't have a lot of, especially early on. Like, no one was making wrestling content like I was. And I was like, listening to all these YouTubers and being like, find your niche and copy people, but no one was doing it. I think there's a lot of people making, similar type, real estate calls and finding out things that work that way. Just find out what's working and double down.
Got it.
I'd say that's the biggest thing, but eventually your audience will grow, like it always does. The more content you do, it could just be like a long game. Everyone's journey on their socials can be different.
Yeah. It's been super helpful with just relevance, like in my business. So like the amount of people that hit me up every day, like in my business, is skyrocketed because I'm in their face every day. But now I'm trying to figure out like who exactly is my audience, like who am I directing these videos to? And Ronan helps me out with some stuff too, of like just trying to figure out that, because I do have videos where like one will do crazy good, the other one won't. And so I'm trying to like pinpoint, maybe it was the caption, the prompt, the angle, like you said. But any advice on like figuring out who you're talking to?
Well, who do you want to talk
to? So I think there's two ways to go about it. There's people that I could teach to do what I do, or it's like directing it towards the people I'm doing business with. Does that make sense?
Yes. I mean, can you reach both with one video?
I could.
Because it's two different. I would say maybe I would say figure out which one is more prominent and, have 70% of your posts more towards the more prominent one.
Got it. Yeah, that makes
because
sense.
I would say it's a long game, but I also would love to, I'd love to edit one of your videos too.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And just see how it does. Cause I think if maybe send me a clip and I can see maybe it blows up, maybe it gets 0 views, but I think that'd be fun.
Yeah, we'll see.
What's your so sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you guys. Enough talking about yourself, Tony.
We'll talk after.
Back to the guest. Anyways, so as far as editing goes, you mentioned a little bit of your process, but did you develop that just through watching other creators, YouTube videos, getting tips? Was there anybody that like specifically helped you, or was it just a lot of time?
Yeah, it was time. I started off learning on an outdated Cyberlink on this Dell computer that when I tell you it would take me 12 hours to render, it took 12 hours to just like play it back and not even upload. And so I was very patient with the process, and I'm thankful that I had that, because now when I can upgrade equipment, it's like I am worlds above where I was. And that's when I'm like, everything is just so self-taught. And I was so, I might be grateful it was a little slow at the start there, because it really allowed me to be intentional with my edits. I didn't have the extra time to, waste a movement, let's say. But I did try a lot of different things. And, of course, had failures or things that look so stupid in videos, but I'm glad I tried it. And, after going from a Cyberlink to, trying maybe something on my phone to now I use Final Cut, it's like completely different. But you can watch all the videos you want, but you got to be the one actually doing it and figuring out what you like, your editing style.
Yeah, that's a great point. You really can't, the only way to get better at editing, or literally, we could talk about this in any scenario, but the only way to get better at editing is editing as many videos as you possibly can. I tell people that want to get in the content, if you're not willing to post and edit 90 videos, just don't even try, because you're not going to get any better. The 30th video, it's going to be better than the first, but you really need a bunch of different darts at the wall to even see what sticks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially all different ones.
Right.
Not editing the same, 90 similar things, changing something about each one of them, whether that be the setting or the sound or the audio, or, the frame rate, the zooming in. There's so many different things to think about.
Definitely. So one thing that you said that I thought was very interesting is you're kind of the first in your space as far as wrestling content creators go. You know, you started, I think you said 7 or 8 years ago, and there really wasn't a lot of examples of content creators in your niche. Now it seems like there's more guys who are interested in doing it and putting stuff out there. Who are some people that you like in wrestling that are doing content?
Yes, there's a couple people I talk to right now. I think the number one guy that is killing it is Kyler Larkin. If you have you ever seen his videos?
I know who he is, but I haven't seen his videos.
He is like a master. I'm like gassing him up, but the videos are worth it. Like, I don't know how much time he puts into each one, but they're like, it's literally like watching a cinematic masterpiece. He's just very, very technical in what he does and very creative. So I appreciate the videos he does there. There's other vloggers that pop up. So like give a shout to like Z1 Cub. He does a good job. That Cayden Intro, if you know him, he's another D2 wrestler. He's over in Japan right now, training. He got the opportunity to do that. So just man, I could go on for a little bit, but
go ahead.
There's a lot of
we
people.
got time.
Oh my goodness. But I mean, I'm just looking at one like here on YouTube, like Terrell. I talked to him a little bit at just some tournaments. It's cool running into people at tournaments, like Chris Kelly too. He's one, I will say. There's so many, especially in different. Oh, that Kelly, I forget how to say his last name. He wrestles at Penn. But I think it's cool that so many people are at least giving it a try, right? You know, Bartlett started making videos, like especially long ones. I think he's stopped in recent memory. Roman made long ones. But I think it's cool watching other people's journeys and how they're going through similar tournaments. It's cool to see that's growing as well.
Yeah, man. I think you obviously are kind of leading the charge, and I'm sure you had a big impact on all those guys. So it's like it's exciting. I mean, I think it's good for the sport.
Yeah.
You know, that was just not a thing. It's not a thing, and now we have guys, doing it at a really high level, which is exciting. And guys, like you mentioned, I'm excited to check out Kyler Larkin's videos because I haven't seen them.
Yes.
But people that are doing like sick edits, and the sport needs more stuff like that. I feel like when I was young, like let's say 4th, 5th, 6th grade, I would watch YouTube, and I would watch some wrestling videos. Like one of the big wrestling videos at the time was Joe Williamson for Flow Wrestling went to Russian Nationals, which for the time was like the craziest thing because it was like this random white American dude rolling up to Russian Nationals and it wasn't like in Moscow. It was like somewhere deep Russia with like 15,000 Russians and a camcorder, and he's just like videoing these matches from the stands, and just some of the most unbelievable wrestling I've ever seen. But like that was like what was on YouTube, and then Flow Wrestling came up, but the mostly like the cool like highlight montage stuff, it was like not at all what it is now. It wasn't like follow a story or anything like that. You could kind of get some more of that in other sports like football or whatever, but there was that was like what the videos were when I remember growing up watching them, because I always loved watching wrestling videos, but there really wasn't stuff out there. It wasn't like a movie. It was just like a guy in the stands with a camcorder that was shaking, and we were watching some match. Like it's crazy how it's evolved.
Yeah. And I wonder like what's the next evolution from this? I think that's kind of interesting to think about. Even just, I don't know, I'm sure AI is going to work their way in there, edits your own videos and gives you your own style, but I'd love to see that video you're referring to.
Yeah, I can find it. I'll find it and I'll just send it over to you. But it's really cool. It was like probably 8 minutes long, maybe 10 minutes long, and it's like kind of like clips, of different matches and techniques. But yeah, the guy that posted it was one of the OGs at Flow Wrestling, Joe Williamson. I don't think he's still there anymore, but it was like Martin Florini, Bader, and Joe, and I'm sure there was like a couple other people, but like people that were on like the that were prominent in within like trying to build flow wrestling and trying to like video wrestling. It was like those guys. That's what I remember.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I'll send it over to you though. But
Yeah.
Yeah, when I was like young, the only video I had was a Dan Gable tape that I'd have to put in my VCR rewinder.
Yeah.
And I would just rewatch that over and over again. Like one thing. Now these kids have access to everything.
yeah,
Like,
it's so good for the sport.
yeah, it really is.
For sure.
Yeah, Cayden, how do you think the sport of wrestling grows over time in the next couple of years? Like, do you think it is going to be through more of the content creators within wrestling, or how do you see it playing out?
Yeah. So wrestling, if you really like think about the highlight wise for an engagement factor, wrestling is one of the sports that I think can get the most engagement. It just makes sense. Like you got a guy that gets a big throw, maybe there's, fights in wrestling. That's always a thing that, pops up, even though, shouldn't happen. But there's so many moments, especially because wrestling, it's not like fighting where you can really, let's say, have that other injury factor, but, from kids can do it up until, senior level. And I think the fact that anyone can do it, it's like an organized fight. And especially, I think the school setting, I mean, if wrestling needs to grow, it's kids early on.
Yeah.
And I think it's just a way for those kids to make it seem cool. Even I think the way that it grows actually too is, how do I say this? That kids whose parents don't know what wrestling is, how do we get those kids involved in the sport? Because like me and, you guys were saying, like, if your parent was involved in the sport, usually you go through with wrestling. It's almost like if you grow up in a wrestling family, it's like a cult, it's like you just do it.
Yeah.
But how do we get those kids whose parents and families have no affiliation with wrestling? How do we reach those kids? I think content is a big thing to make it look cool. I do think like that helps. I don't know maybe exactly what would be that number one factor. I think DeJulius, when you had him on the podcast, he said, if we switch from singlets to two pieces, I actually 100% agree. That would definitely get more young kids to join wrestling. But I don't know. I do think content is a big thing.
Yeah. It is kind of
big.
weird that like, if you look at any other sport, they practice and wear what they compete in.
That's true.
Wrestling is like one of the only sports that you don't really do that.
Yeah.
Which is weird.
Or it's not culturally, a lot of people don't do it. Like you look at college guys and they'll wear a singlet and stuff.
Right, but they're still wearing a singlet with like a shirt underneath it.
Sure.
Or they're not like literally wearing sweats over it. But like, you see it it's very rare all in all. It's like most people are wearing shorts and a t-shirt.
That's true. I mean, like the reason that jiu-jitsu is so big, people can do it. There's, of course, competitions and stuff when you're older. Unlike wrestling, it's a lot more rare. But the fact that I think you do compete in basically what you wear with, the two-piece, the rash guard.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's just something there that I think it really needs to be taken seriously to change.
I wonder what the hesitancy is for like people to adopt it. I know they've tried it a little bit. Like I think Maryland was wearing two pieces for a little bit. There's a couple other schools that were wearing them, but it just seems like people are not. It's been a talk for a long time. Like
it's probably like what we were talking about yesterday of just trying to keep the same old wrestling box of like we wear singlets and I do love singlets.
I don't eat because like when I'm thinking about like if we were to change wrestling, whether a certain rule or whatever needs to be changed to grow it, who's the people at the top that you need to talk to or convince?
I don't even know. It's
got to be just like no one really even like knows, but it's got to be some just old guys that just always that you can't teach old dog new tricks.
Right.
Yeah. It was probably the same way with like jujitsu having like no-gi jujitsu becoming a thing rather than
I feel like like no-gi jujitsu is becoming big and it's becoming popular now because I think younger people were like, we're going to like go hard with no-gi jujitsu and like we're going to promote it and do this and that. And like all the people that like, the older people that were ingrained in that culture was like, they're stuck in the gi and it's kind of dying, right? Like no-gi jujitsu, from my perspective, the people running like ADCC, CJI, the big tournaments, you got UFC Fight Pass and then who's number one, and it's like younger guys. Like I've seen them all, and it's not like old dudes that have been in there forever. It's new people.
Fresh,
fresh.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I will say too, on the backbone of like growing wrestling, you look at football and basketball. Those kids look up to the NBA players, the NFL players. In wrestling, those guys, especially for me early on, I did not know any college wrestlers when I, first started wrestling. I knew of guys that won, Jordan Burroughs, because, he was all over the place, but there wasn't a league of this competition that's, I guess, so set. Like, I think like the UFC, how if the more the UFC grows and the more that they're like, wow, wrestlers are, crushing it. Wrestling is such a valuable skill set. That's a way to get more wrestling involved. So whether that, I don't know how a wrestling league would work. I know there's so many people who've tried it and there's different things going on, but that's what other sports have over wrestling. Yeah. There's a really sanctioned other league.
Right. Yeah. I feel like the thing, so you might not even know about this, but when I was maybe early middle school, late elementary school, they had a thing called Real Pro Wrestling. Have you heard of this?
I've seen some old videos on YouTube of that.
So Real Pro Wrestling was dope. So they took the best wrestlers in the country and they divided them up on like, I don't know, it was like 8 teams or something like that. And they set up a bracket and they had them compete on this raised mat that the sides were slanted. So if you took them off the mat, they were like falling. It was almost like a reverse pit. So think of like an inversion of a pit. And so if you fell off, it was like there was people there with pads that would like catch you. Yeah, it was crazy.
Whoa. Are you thinking of American Gladiator?
It's similar. and they would wear, they actually wore like compression shorts, no tops, like no shirts, just compression shorts and shoes. And then the teams were like dope names, like I forget it was like the Chicago Freeze and like the blah, 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 whatever. The California Claw was one. And there was a bunch of, but they took the best wrestlers and it was like, 8 teams and there was like 8 guys per team or whatever. And like 8 weight classes. And they kept a team score and they broadcasted it. I forget what channel it was, but they broadcasted it and then they never rebooted it after one season, but it was electric, bro. And the rules were a little different. It was like kind of freestyle wrestling rules, but a little different, made it a little more exciting. That's probably from what I've seen. There's a lot of different shows that have tried to become popular, but that was like the biggest production one and the like in my mind the best attempt at it. But I think like Flow Wrestling's obviously doing, events and stuff like that, but there just needs to be some consistency. There needs to be like a season where it's like, all right, we're going January to April and like we're gonna get these matches and then there's it's hard to follow when there's no consistency.
Right. Yeah. No, we just need something to stick.
Yeah.
Like just have something good that can actually run. That's just not going to be a fluke.
Yeah. It's tough with, I think it's tough with TV. Like you're probably not going to get a contract, with an actual, it's just not going to make sense financially to be on ESPN or whatever.
Right.
Like it's almost like you got to stream it, but with Flow, they're streaming so many events from youth to high school to college. That's like, it's like, why would they need to do that? And when there's events, there's 50 events a month,
Right.
And I mean, they're doing one-off shows here and there, but yeah, like that's the biggest audience right now. And I don't know as far as streaming goes, but yeah, it's not. We'll see.
Yeah, I think that what the CJI did was awesome for the growth of jiu-jitsu was streaming it on YouTube, and I would love to see like a big wrestling tournament streamed on YouTube because I think a crazy stat came out the other day that 60% of YouTube users are watching YouTube on the TV.
I saw that. Yeah.
What?
Which is crazy to think about.
That is wild.
And it's a lot of like the older age people.
Really?
So they're watching it instead of cable.
They're just watching YouTube.
Yeah.
Just watching YouTube now. So that gives like, in my mind, some sports with like a lot, like just not as big of a fan base and a little bit more niche, an ability to be like, hey, like we're on the big screen. Like anyone can watch it. You just have to like have this and you watch the ads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's I don't know. That was my big idea behind how to go wrestling. But I don't know. It's really interesting. I think that like what you're doing, Cayden, and then what's like Muggsy's doing too, like, and a bunch of the other guys in the space. I think that that's a huge way that wrestling grows because it gets younger kids into the sport.
I completely agree. And one thing that like so many wrestlers have to be taking from Muggsy too, like he didn't start the social media while he was a wrestler. Like he was out of wrestling for what, maybe 10 years. And then he just pops off and he's the wrestling content creator like that he is today.
That's crazy.
And if like, imagine like if you had, you know, maybe his mindset or his, you know, his thought process of more, you know, media while you were competing like that, like so anyone can do it that's competing. And I think you can, you know, maybe have, not saying more impact, but just a different impact. You can make a massive impact. Yeah. Especially when you're in the sport. That's huge.
Yeah.
So
it's crazy how different the standards are and like what's changing. You know, I remember, so when I was in school, in college, I started getting like more social media reach and like followers and stuff. And I think my senior year, I hit 100K and I was like, damn, like that's crazy. Like
that's wild.
100,000 people. And the only thing I did, this is literally all I did. I didn't do anything. I took the Penn State Athletics. They would take pictures of every match, right? And our media coordinator, I would just say, hey, email me the pictures that you get from the photographers like after the match. It was just Pat. And he would like just send them on the email to me the next day and I would just post one. That's all I did. I didn't even do a video or anything. Oh, I did. And then I did one video where I threw the little mini dummy in the Ohio State room. But like, that was it. It was like, I'm like doing weird videos. I did a backflip off of a hay bale once. And then I was just posting the pictures that the media guy was sending me. Like,
that's crazy.
That was social, like 5 years ago for wrestling, you know, in my mind. Like then all of a sudden it's like 5 years later, you know, like that would have been early into your career, like and now 5 years later, here we are where imagine where it'll be in 5 years from now. Like hopefully there's like 100, you know, Cayden Henschels and like people that are doing stuff like that. It'd be cool.
How would you have managed the social media aspect with wrestling if you just started college right now?
Dude, I would do it so differently. I would definitely, I would still, you know, obviously post like around the competition and stuff like that, but I would for sure have like a full-time videographer like what I do now. I would basically take everything I do now and start that, you know, as a freshman in college. I would have somebody literally follow me around, vlog every day, travel on trips with me. Like I would literally just do 24/7 content all live. I'm not good. I'm not an editor. I'm not skilled enough to do all of that. So I would just have somebody do it all and put out as much stuff as I could. Like that's something. And for me, I think the balance is wrestling. I don't have the bandwidth to also take on the media projects. So I can be there, be the content, but you know, have somebody else do all the shooting, editing, that stuff. Cause I didn't start it like young, you know, I don't know if I started now, I would like not even, it would be a joke. Like we should do a video where I try to edit something.
Oh my gosh.
Actually, you know what? That's not true. That's not true. I've made a couple of our videos that we've done that have gone super viral. I've edited. This is true.
Really?
That is true.
A couple of them,
really?
but not a lot of them. There's like one or two that I've done that are pretty good.
Yeah. You know what's crazy to think about is that what you just said is possible now with NIL. Like there's going to be, and I know that he just committed to Iowa, but Bo Bassett could be that first guy that really
dives into it
and can hire a full-time guy. I mean, you know, he got a big paycheck. He could use it to grow his channel. He's obviously very popular already, but
I think the hard part is most people can't manage it. It's too much stress for them. Yeah. It's too much pressure to be able to like train full time, go to school and shoot, you know, because even if you're just having the content, even if somebody's shooting you and editing it all, it's still like, you're still doing stuff. You're still answering questions. You're still, I think it adds a different type of stress, but I feel like, yeah, that's what I would do. If I was 18 right now going into college, I would have somebody with me every single day and shoot stuff and put stuff out every day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you seen, Cayden, have you seen what like Colorado football has been doing?
No.
So they like have a vlog series.
That's
It's like
sick.
basically Hard Knocks, but for college Colorado football. And I think that that's
Sure.
going to be like, I know that Coach Kell would probably never let it happen, but I'm sure there's some other wrestling organizations that would let the doors open for someone to come and film. And I think that that's like another big way of how wrestling could grow is really getting like not like a TV series, but even just like a YouTube series.
100%. And that's the thing with that, how you said that Kale probably wouldn't, allow that. I know it was even like for Iowa guys at practice, phones aren't even like allowed in the wrestling room. Like how would that even be possible? And I think so many, wrestling organizations are like that, but again, that is still old school. Like there is this whole nother aspect that there's a huge opportunity there. It's just who's gonna utilize it,
Yeah, I mean, a close friend of ours, John Braun, he was talking about. So he's been trying to do a documentary for Penn State, and he's been pitching it to these big streaming services, but none of them will do it because they like to have like a whole season, like an what was the F1 series called, or
Drive to Survive.
Yeah, and then
Formula
Full
One.
Swing, same thing. They want to have like this whole a bunch of different teams in it. So I think that like I don't know if it'll ever happen for wrestling because of what you were kind of saying. Like there's a lot of barriers to entry there, but it would be. I think that would be a massive way to do it.
I just think about our college, and if we had somebody that was videoing us from, well, first off, our first year or two, we probably wouldn't have wanted that to be good. But let's say after we settled down a little bit, we got.
Well, you were fine.
I was fine. Yeah, I was good, but I was more so looking out for you guys, some of the other guys on the team. I was all right, but if we would have had a film crew with us, like
over the 5 years would be insane.
we had so many crazy moments. It makes me mad actually thinking about it.
Yeah.
Because I'm just thinking about all the crazy moments that we had. It was like the fact that it wasn't filmed is such an injustice.
Yeah.
It's like it kind of makes me sick. Ugh.
Yeah. Well, you could probably like AI it now, like make this into a video.
Yeah, for
That's
real.
true.
Just like type in like everything that we remember that happened and have like 10 people do it and then have AI cross-reference it all and make a video. That's a good idea.
You will probably be able to do it for sure. In the next couple of years, you just type out exactly how it happened. I'm sure you put your faces on whatever that website and you'll find a way.
It's crazy to think about. Yeah, for sure. Well, Cayden, man, we appreciate you taking some time chatting with us. This was really awesome. It's great to hear your story and some insight from you and how you've become successful. Is there anything that you have to say to the listeners, the viewers? Anything that you want to kind of part with?
Yeah, I mean, I would say again for you guys, thanks so much for having me on. This is an absolute pleasure, and just thank you guys for watching. This has been great.
Awesome.
Thank you, brother.
Appreciate you.